What kind of woman stands her ground in a place built to break the weak? That was the silent question hanging in the hot autumn air as Eleanor Nora Caldwell stepped off the train at Silver Butte Station in 1883, clutching a deed and a future already slipping through her fingers. The October sun glared down without mercy. Dust swirled across the empty platform, sticking to her wool dress and settling in her throat. It was her first moment in the New Mexico territory, but instead of welcome, she found only disappointment. Her trunk sat at her feet, her hands trembled around a crumpled letter. And the man who had written it, the man she'd crossed a continent to marry, lay dead in a pine box not 2 hours earlier. "Miss Caldwell?" a voice called. Eleanor turned. A stout woman in a faded flower print apron hurried toward her. "I'm Mrs. Donnelly. Heard you were expected today, and also heard about your situation." Eleanor's voice barely held. "I've been informed of Mr. Hartley's passing. Happened this morning. Fell into the well, they say. Unfortunate, very unfortunate. But Mrs. Donnelly's eyes held something else, worry mixed with something unspoken. Eleanor steadied herself. "I have no family back east, but I do have this." She pulled out the deed Samuel Hartley had sent her. 20 acres. Water access included, signed and witnessed in Denver. Mrs. Donnelly's breath caught. "That land? Miss, you don't know the trouble tied to that land." Asa Pike's been eyeing every water claim in the valley. Before Eleanor could ask, the sound of hooves cut through the hot air. A tall man dismounted with calm efficiency, dust rising around his boots. His canvas coat was worn from hard trails, and stubble shadowed a sharp jaw. Beside him stood a boy, maybe 8 years old, wide-eyed, clutching the man's hand. "That's Eli Mercer," Mrs. Donnelly whispered. "Former cavalry scout, quiet as a shadow. That boy's his nephew, Calvin." Mercer's eyes skimmed the platform, lingering on Eleanor's trunks before landing on the paper in her hand. His gaze sharpened just enough to make her heart stutter. He tipped his hat. "Ma'am," quote. She nodded, trying to read the warning she sensed behind his steady stare. Before she could speak, the undertaker approached. "Miss Caldwell, about Mr. Hartley's arrangements." The sun pressed harder. Heat built behind Eleanor's eyes. The air swayed. The platform tilted. She stumbled. 2 hands caught her. Strong, sure, warm. "Get her to shade," Mercer ordered. When her vision steadied, she found herself sitting against the station wall, Mercer's canteen tipped to her lips. The water tasted of leather, dust, and unexpected safety. "First time in desert heat?" he asked. "I didn't expect autumn here to feel like a furnace." "Most folks don't." Mrs. Donnelly dabbed Eleanor's forehead with a damp cloth. "You poor thing. Lost your intended and near lost yourself in the same breath." Eleanor winced. "I never met Mr. Hartley in person. Only letters." Mercer paused at that, studying her with a soldier's eyes. "He send you that deed before he died?" "Yes." He nodded, jaw tightening. "Then keep it close. Folks around here get mighty interested in water." Quote. As if summoned by the warning, a line of riders appeared at the far end of town. Their leader rode tall on a sleek bay horse, wearing an expensive hat and a smile that didn't warm his cold, pale eyes. "Asa Pike," Mrs. Donnelly whispered. Pike reined in his horse near the platform, gaze fixed on the deed still in Eleanor's hand. "So you're the bride," he said smoothly. "My condolences." "I'm Eleanor Caldwell," she replied, chin raised. "Eleanor Caldwell. A shame you came all this way for nothing. I assume you'll be heading back east soon. Hartley had no real ties, nothing to keep a lady here." "Actually," Eleanor said, "I own property here now, and I intend to stay." A murmur of shock rippled through the nearby onlookers. Pike's smile turned thin. "Hartley died with debts. Judge Barrow will be reviewing any claims to his estate." "Not mine," Eleanor said firmly. "This deed is legal." His eyes hardened. "We'll see, Miss Caldwell." He turned his horse and rode off, leaving behind a cloud of dust and tension sharp enough to taste. Mercer remained where he stood, watching Pike disappear. "That land of yours," he said quietly. "Did Hartley tell you it sits on Willow Creek's sweetest water?" "He said it had a spring." Mercer exhaled, slow and grim. "That spring feeds half this valley in drought years. Pike's been buying up water rights one by one. You've got the one piece he needs." "So I own danger," she said. "You own trouble," he corrected. "And trouble out here tends to ride on horseback." She swallowed hard. Mercer swung into his saddle and lifted Cal up behind him. "I'll bring a wagon. Help you get settled on the land. It's got a lean-to, bare bones but shelter." "You don't have to help me," she whispered. He met her gaze, steady, unreadable, protective in a way he didn't seem comfortable admitting. "Yeah," he said. "I reckon I do." Then he rode away, leaving Eleanor standing in the desert sun with a deed, a dead groom, and a growing certainty that Silver Butte was a place where nothing was what it seemed, and where her arrival had already stirred the dust. The autumn sun sank behind the mountains as Eleanor Caldwell stood on the rocky edge of her land, staring at the small lean-to that would now be her home. It wasn't much. 3 rough walls, a roof made of warped boards, a door that didn't quite close. But Willow Creek shimmered nearby, running strong from the spring Hartley had written about. The sound of the water steadied her heartbeat. Eli Mercer returned, just as dusk painted the valley gold. His wagon creaked under the weight of her trunks, and young Cal sat beside him, swinging his legs with excitement. "We brought supper too," Cal said proudly. "Mrs. Donnelly made stew. Uncle Eli didn't want you going hungry." Eli cleared his throat. "Figured you'd need something warm." Eleanor gave a small smile. "Thank you, truly." They unloaded her belongings beneath the cottonwoods. Cal chattered the whole time, pointing at lizards, stones, and clouds, filling the lonely land with life. Eli said little, but his presence felt steady as bedrock. As the sun dipped lower, Cal spotted something glimmering in the shallow spring. "Uncle Eli, look!" Eli waded in and pulled out a tarnished belt buckle, heavy, brass, worn by use. Eleanor froze. "That's Samuel Hartley's. He wrote about it in his letters." Eli's jaw tightened. "This spring is 7 feet from the well he supposedly fell into. Water here's only knee-deep." "Meaning Hartley didn't fall. Meaning someone wanted the accident to look innocent." Eleanor's stomach dropped. "You think he was?" "Not thinking," Eli said softly, "just paying attention." Before she could speak, a dust cloud rose on the horizon. 3 riders approached, slow, deliberate, unfriendly. Cal moved closer to his uncle. Eli rested a hand on the boy's shoulder and stepped slightly in front of Eleanor. The riders stopped at her property line. The leader pushed his hat back, a lean man with cold eyes and a tied-down holster. Eleanor recognized him from Pike's procession. "Afternoon," he said, voice oily. "Name's Huck Barrett. Mr. Pike sent us to check on the lady." "We're fine," Eli said. "Move along." Huck ignored him. "Miss Caldwell, Mr. Pike has a generous offer for your land. More than fair. Enough to send you home nice and comfortable." "This is my home now," Eleanor said. "Is it?" Huck smiled without warmth. "Lonely place for a woman. Accidents happen out here, like poor Hartley." The threat hung in the air like a coiled snake. Eli stepped forward. "That's enough." Huck's eyes flicked to Eli's rifle. He touched his hat brim. "Offer stands, Miss Caldwell. For now." The men rode off, their dust drifting like a warning. Cal exhaled shakily. "Uncle Eli, do you think they hurt Mr. Hartley?" Eli didn't answer. His silence was answer enough. When night fell, they gathered around a small fire Eleanor had built. The flames crackled soft and warm against the growing chill. Cal ate stew happily, but Eleanor barely tasted hers. Shadows stretched long across the valley. The wind rustled the sage. "You can't stay here alone," Eli said quietly. "Pike won't quit. I don't have the money for Mrs. Donnelly's boarding house, and I won't run. Eleanor lifted her chin. "I came here to build a life." Quote. Eli looked at her for a long moment, measuring her resolve, perhaps measuring his own. "You got a gun?" he asked. "No." He walked to his wagon and returned with an old Springfield rifle. "Heavy, but solid. Take it." "I couldn't." "You can," he said firmly. "And you will. You know how to shoot?" "No, but I can learn." Something softened in his face. "Then I'll teach you." He set up a tin can on a rock. Under his patient instruction, she learned to load, shoulder, and fire. Her first shot went wide. Cal laughed. Her second hit the can square. "Natural," Eli murmured. For a moment, their eyes held. The fire reflected in his. The desert wind drifted soft between them. Something shifted. Something neither of them named. As darkness wrapped the valley, Eli and Cal prepared to leave. "You sure you won't come back to town?" he asked one last time. "I'm staying." He exhaled, half frustration, half admiration. "Keep the fire high, keep the rifle closer. If anyone comes." "I'll be ready." He nodded once. "Cal and I will be by tomorrow." Quote. They rode away, wagon wheels creaking into the night. Left alone, Eleanor fed the fire and sat with her back to a cottonwood tree, rifle across her lap. The stars spilled across the sky, bright and sharp. Coyotes yipped in the distance. Somewhere, water trickled from the spring. A steady heartbeat in the dark. One thought pressed hardest. Hartley's death wasn't an accident, and Pike knew she now held the land he'd tried to control. Fear flickered through her, but something else rose stronger. Determination, the kind that could root itself deep as desert sage. By dawn, when she woke stiff beneath the tree, the fire had burned to embers, but someone had added wood, and a pot of coffee warmed at the edge of the coals. Eleanor gasped softly. Boot prints circled the fire. Eli stepped out from behind the lean-to, leading a pack mule loaded with lumber. "Didn't sleep," he said simply. "Storm winds pick up after midnight. Thought I'd keep watch." Cal grinned. "We brought breakfast, too." Eleanor's heart softened in her chest. For the first time since stepping off that train, she didn't feel alone. "Let's build you a proper shelter," Eli said. They spent the morning working, hammering, cutting, laughing, as Cal told stories. By noon, the lean-to had become a sturdy dugout shelter with a roof that didn't leak and a door that shut tight. Eli walked the creek with her, explaining water flow, showing where her spring fed into Willow Creek. "Pike needs this land," he said. "Badly. That's why it's dangerous. Then I'll make it worth defending." A dust cloud rose again. Riders, Huck Barrett's men, watching from the distance. Eli's expression hardened. "They won't stop." Eleanor set her jaw. "Neither will I." He studied her again, then nodded once. "Respect. Maybe more." "Your trouble, Miss Caldwell," he said in a low voice. "The kind a man can't walk away from." Her breath caught. Before she could speak, Cal yelled, "Uncle Eli! Miss Eleanor!" They ran. The boy stood by the spring, pointing. The belt buckle was gone. Someone had taken it, meaning someone had been here, watching, waiting, and the danger surrounding Eleanor was closing in. The morning sun crept over the ridge as Eleanor stood beside the spring, staring at the empty spot where Hartley's belt buckle had been. The water rippled softly, innocent and clear, but her stomach twisted. Someone had been close enough to take it, close enough to watch her sleeping. Eli crouched beside the bank, scanning boot prints in the mud. Cal hovered near him, jaw tight, fists balled as if ready to fight shadows. "It was right here," Eleanor whispered. "You saw it." "I did," Eli said. "And these tracks, they're fresh. Someone came in the night." Cal swallowed hard. "Do you think it was Huck's?" "Could be," Eli answered. "Could be any of Pike's men. What matters is they're getting bold." He rose slowly, shoulders tense. "We need to keep moving smart. Stay ahead of them." Eleanor felt a tremor inside her, not just fear, but anger, righteous, burning anger. He was killed for this land, for water, and now they're coming after me. Eli met her gaze. "You're not alone anymore." The words hit deep, steadying, strengthening. Before they could say more, dust rose on the road. Riders again, but this time not Pike's men. Mrs. Donnelly, Patrick Donnelly, the Vasquez family, and several miners came together, worry carved into their faces. "Miss Eleanor," Mrs. Donnelly called, dismounting. "There's trouble in town. Judge Barrow posted new water fees at dawn, absurd fees. People can't afford them." Patrick's face reddened. Pike's still pulling strings from behind the scenes. "We heard he plans to challenge that deed of yours today, claim Hartley had unpaid debts." Eleanor's hands tightened around her skirt. "He's trying to take everything." Eli stepped forward. "He won't, not while we stand with her." The miners nodded fiercely. "We owe you," Maria Vasquez said. "You helped our sick children. Today we help you." Community, standing together. Eleanor felt strength ripple through her chest. "We go to town," she said. "All of us." Silver Butte's courthouse square was already full when they arrived. Ranchers with hats clutched low, miners with arms crossed, women whispering anxiously. Tension hung like heavy smoke. Judge Barrow stood on the steps, backed by two of Pike's gunmen. "Attention!" he called. "Due to water maintenance costs, new fees will be collected in 10 days. Anyone unable to pay will lose access to the creek and springs." Shouts erupted. "You'll starve families." "This is theft." Barrow raised his hands. "Order! Order!" Eleanor stepped forward. "This is unlawful." The crowd fell quiet. Her voice rang clear. "This land has belonged to settlers long before Pike. We have rights. Hartley's land is free and legal, and I own that deed." Barrow's smile curled. "That deed is under review." Eli bristled beside her. "Review by who? Pike?" "By the law," Barrow snapped. "And until then—" "Until nothing," Eleanor cut in. "You think we'll lie down and let you rob us? You don't understand this land or its people." The crowd murmured, approval growing like a flame catching dry sage. Barrow's face twisted. "Miss Caldwell, I suggest you." He stopped. Dust rose at the end of the street. Riders were coming. Fast. Eleanor's heart stopped. Eli exhaled slowly. "It's them." Federal riders thundered into the square. Captain Morrison at the front with 3 marshals. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Pike's gunmen stiffened. Morrison swung from his horse. "Judge Barrow, I've been sent by Santa Fe. We received disturbing reports." Barrow sputtered. "Reports? From who?" Eli stepped forward. "From me." The captain nodded. "And he brought evidence." He held up Hartley's surveyor journal. "The real one. This," he announced, "documents water diversions, illegal collection schemes, bribery, and murder." Gasps, shouts, rage. Barrow turned pale. "This is outrageous. I had no—" "Hush," Morrison ordered, cutting him off. "You're under arrest." Barrow's gunmen reached for their weapons, but the marshals were faster. Within seconds, they were disarmed and bound. The square erupted. Cheers. Tears. Relief stronger than the desert sun. Eleanor's knees softened. Eli steadied her. "You did this," she whispered. He shook his head. "You did." Before the victory could settle, a boy ran breathless from the road. "Marshal! Marshal! Huck's Barrett escaped! He's headed toward the Caldwell Spring!" Eleanor's blood ran cold. "No," Eli breathed. "Cal! Where's Cal?" The boy looked around wildly. I saw him run after Miss Eleanor left. He went back to the spring." Eleanor's breath shattered. "Cal! Alone! With Hucks! She ran! Eli ran beside her!" Morrison followed with his men. The sprint to the property felt endless. Wind tore at their clothes. Dust rose in choking clouds. Eleanor's heart hammered like a fist inside her ribs. When they reached the creek, she saw footprints, Cal's small ones, and a set of deeper ones running toward the cottonwoods. "Cal!" she screamed. A sharp cry answered, down near the water. They tore through the brush. Hucks Barrett had Cal pinned against the ground, one arm locked around the boy's chest, a pistol in the other hand. "Back off!" Hucks snarled. "I swear all." Eleanor didn't hesitate. She lifted the rifle Eli had given her, hands steady as stone. and fired a warning shot that struck the dirt inches from Hucks's boot. Hucks flinched. Cal twisted free and scrambled behind Eli. Eli stepped forward, slow, deadly calm. "Drop it, Hucks." Hucks backed toward the spring, desperate, wild. "I ain't going down for Pike." "You already did," Morrison growled as he approached. With a broken cry, Hucks fired, but Eli was faster. His shot slammed into Hucks's shoulder, sending the gunman spinning into the shallow spring. Water splashed. The pistol sank into the mud. Hucks groaned, clutching his wound as marshals rushed in to drag him out. Cal ran to Eleanor. She scooped him into her arms, sobbing into his hair. "Are you hurt? Cal, are you hurt?" "No," he whispered, voice trembling. "I knew you'd come, both of you." Eli placed a hand on the boy's back. "Always. Together. Always." By afternoon, Pike and Barrow were in chains. Hucks too. And the water rights were secured under federal law. But as evening settled over the valley, the town gathered around Eleanor's spring. Her water, now free for all. Morrison clasped Eli's hand. "This territory needs more men like you." He turned to Eleanor. "And more women like her." Quote. Later, when the crowd thinned and silence settled, Eleanor stood with Eli and Cal beneath the cottonwoods. Cal curled against Eli's side, exhausted but safe. Eleanor looked at Eli, heart full. "You saved us." He shook his head. "You saved me first." Their eyes held, warm, intense, unspoken fire. Eli stepped closer, his voice low, rough, honest. "You said last night you wouldn't run. I won't either, not from you." Her breath caught. "Eli." He cupped her face, thumb brushing her cheek. "Nora," he murmured, voice thick with feeling. "No bed but mine, no life but ours. If you'll have me." She breathed, shaking, heart bursting full. "Yes," she whispered. "Tonight, that bed will know our fire." Eli lowered his forehead to hers, and Cal smiled sleepily between them. A family, at last, a home, fought for and won, and a love stronger than any storm the frontier could bring.